Welcome to Dutch Horizons, where the journey through Dutch innovation and trade comes alive for a global audience. Here, we explore how the Netherlands pioneered ideas that shaped our world, revealing how a small nation left an unmissable mark on history. If you enjoy discovering how enterprising spirits changed the course of civilization, in this episode, we travel back to 17th century Amsterdam. We will explore how this city, through courage and cleverness, became the stage for a financial revolution. You will discover how Amsterdam's merchants and its unique geography transformed the world of trade, money and investment. Settle in as we uncover the roots of modern finance in the bustling heart of the Dutch Golden Age. Chapter 1. The Rise of Amsterdam. At the dawn of the 1600s, Amsterdam was filled with a constant flow of ships and merchants arriving from distant lands. The air buzzed with expectation, and the city's harbours brimmed with exotic good spices, silks and gold. Amsterdam's streets echoed with many languages, reflecting a city open to the world, curious and ready for opportunity. Here, a new chapter in global trade was beginning. The city's location was its first blessing, nestled by the North Sea with winding canals that hugged its merchant houses. These waterways made it easy for boats to unload their treasures right onto Amsterdam's steps, and for goods to journey onward to every corner of Europe. This clever use of water made the city both a marketplace and a crossroads, strengthening its reputation as a trading powerhouse. Beneath Amsterdam's grand gables and bustling cranes, people from many nations exchanged not only goods, but bold ideas. Merchants, bankers and shipbuilders mingled in lively taverns, broadening each other's horizons with tales of distant markets and new inventions. The city's open spirit encouraged risk-taking, inviting enterprising thinkers to bring innovations that would soon change the landscape of commerce forever. Trade in Amsterdam was not just about swapping spices or silks, it was about trust. With every ship setting sail and contract signed, new forms of promises were made. That spirit of trust laid the early foundations for financial systems built on confidence that distant payments would be honoured and investments might multiply. This unseen glue held Amsterdam's growing economy together through wild voyages and stormy seas. As Amsterdam's reputation grew, so did its population. People arrived from across Europe, seeking new chances and freedom from old constraints. This influx brought clever minds and skilled hands, further fueling invention and ambition. The city buzzed with the sounds of dreams turning into plans, and plans blossoming into fortunes. In Amsterdam, it seemed, anyone could change their story, and perhaps shape the world beyond. It was in this vibrant, ever-changing cityscape that the seeds of modern finance were planted. The port was the heartbeat, but the pulse of innovation ran through every street and canal. Soon, tiny Dutch experiments with credit, banks and investments would echo across continents. In the chapters ahead, we will see how Amsterdam's daring spirit sparked revolutions in money and trust that lay foundations for today's global economy. Chapter 2. The Bank of Amsterdam, 69. In the early 17th century, Amsterdam faced a problem that threatened its booming trade: coins from many different places, each with uncertain value. Merchants struggled with payments that could not be trusted. Amid this chaos, the city made a bold move. It created a new kind of bank. The Bank of Amsterdam was designed to bring order and stability, restoring confidence in commercial life. The Bank of Amsterdam opened its doors in 1609, welcoming worried merchants from across the world. Here, anyone could deposit their unpredictable coins, no matter the origin. In return, the bank offered credit that was standardized and reliable, a revolutionary idea at the time. Now, instead of doubting every coin or fearing false weight, traders could conduct business with newfound ease. Trust became part of every transaction. People soon realized that the real magic was not the coins themselves, but the entries in the bank book. These records, precise and secure, became as valuable as gold. With a simple transfer on the bank's ledger, vast sums could move swiftly between merchants. Paper, rather than metal, built the city's financial might. This new system made Amsterdam the destination for traders seeking safety, efficiency, and reliability in their business. Behind the impressive stone walls, clear rules and strict oversight made sure the bank remained trusted. Each deposit was carefully weighed and logged. The bank refused to lend recklessly, guarding against risky behaviour. Even rulers and powerful citizens could not pressure the bank to change its policies. This careful management built a foundation of confidence. Soon, the bank's credit was considered as reliable as gold throughout Europe. As confidence in the Bank of Amsterdam grew, so did its influence. International merchants chose Amsterdam as their financial hub, knowing their assets were secure. The city quickly transformed into the main crossroads for money and trade in Europe. Bills from the Bank of Amsterdam became a standard for safe payments, accepted even in distant cities. Trust in this system allowed markets to expand, benefits reaching every corner of the trading world. The clear separation between the bank's reserves and its own business activities set a vital example. The bank always kept enough silver and gold to cover its credit, never using customer deposits for its own risky ventures. This discipline allowed it to weather crises and scandals that destroyed lesser banks. Merchants and governments alike looked to Amsterdam's careful systems as a model for how finance could be stable and secure. Over time, innovations from the Bank of Amsterdam echoed far beyond the city. The concept of a central bank where reliability and transparency reigned spread throughout Europe and across the globe. Other nations studied Amsterdam's methods, hoping to strengthen their own trade and finance. In the centuries that followed, central banks would become the unseen guardians of the world's economies, all inspired by this Dutch experiment in trust and stability. So, the Bank of Amsterdam did more than safeguard coins or grant credit. It reshaped the very nature of money and trust. What began as a solution for local merchants turned into a blueprint for global finance, still relevant today. By giving people confidence in each transaction, the bank unlocked centuries of growth and innovation. Its quiet power remains at the heart of the modern economy, a testament to the vision born along Amsterdam's canals. Chapter 3. The Stock Exchange. In the bustling heart of Amsterdam, something remarkable was taking shape. For the first time, ordinary people could buy pieces of great journeys, not just kings or rich merchants. This new practice centred around the world's first official stock exchange, where buying and selling shares became a way for many to join in ambitious voyages and for wealth to be shared and spread in new ways. Here on the floor of the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, traders gathered each day with parchment certificates in hand. Exchanging shares in joint stock companies, they created a lively marketplace filled with hopes, risks, and the thrill of possibility. The exchange invited citizens to invest in expeditions to distant colonies, turning exploration into something everyone could support. Even the smallest investment could send ships across the oceans, linking townsfolk to adventures far away. At the heart of this system were joint stock companies. These organisations allowed people to pool their resources, sharing the profits and the risks of ventures that spanned continents. No longer was trade limited to a few wealthy individuals. Whether you were a baker or a barrel maker, your share meant you were part of a worldwide network, with your fortune rising and falling with each tide and trade wind that returned to Amsterdam's docks. The story of the stock exchange is really the story of accessibility. Transparency was crucial, shares changed hands openly, and prices adjusted throughout the day as news of ships and markets arrived. Anyone could watch or participate, the rules were published and deals witnessed. This openness made trust possible in a busy and growing world. The stock exchange became a place where information and opportunity flowed together for all to see. Speculation and investment were now centre stage, creating waves of excitement and sometimes worry. People hoped their shares would grow in value, while others sought quick profits with clever trades. Success stories spread through Amsterdam like wildfire, as fortunes were made and lost. It was a world buzzing with ambition and caution, where every rumour about distant cargo could send share prices higher or lower before the sun set over the canals. The Amsterdam Stock Exchange wasn't just a market. It was a gathering place of ideas and ambition. Its stone steps echoed with deals, debates and partnerships. People who might never set foot on a ship could now shape the outcomes of expeditions with a simple exchange of paper. The city's spirit of innovation was transformed into something newer community built around trust, imagination and the promise of global adventure. With each passing year, more people saw how the stock exchange changed lives. It helped make risk less frightening by spreading it among many people, not just a few. This system made it easier for big dreams to get the funding they needed, fueling a cycle of trade, investment and invention. The success of Amsterdam's exchange inspired others across Europe, a ripple effect that began to reshape global prosperity. Today's financial markets, filled with traders, investors and fast-moving deals, still owe their existence to what started in old Amsterdam. The foundation of transparency, shared risk and openness built here remains at the core of modern finance. Joint stock companies and exchange trading continue to power economies worldwide. The story of the Amsterdam Stock Exchange is a reminder that even small investments can build bridges across oceans and centuries. Chapter 4. Risk and Insurance. Merchants in 17th century Amsterdam faced a world where every journey across the sea was filled with peril. Storms could shatter ships in an instant, pirates threatened to steal precious cargo, and markets might turn against even the most careful traders. But rather than retreat, the people of Amsterdam searched for ways to share these dangers, paving the way for a powerful financial revolution. In this chapter, we explore how the Dutch pioneered insurance as a solution to ever-present risks. Instead of each merchant shouldering the burden alone, insurance allowed them to pool their fortunes and spread the impact of loss among many. This smart approach made it safer to venture to distant waters, opening up trade routes and new possibilities that would transform global commerce and the way people think about uncertainty. The earliest forms of marine insurance in Amsterdam were simple contracts written out on parchment. Merchants would gather at the city's busy exchanges to negotiate terms, promising compensation if disasters struck at sea. Everyone paid a small amount into a fund. If one ship was lost, the pain was not felt by just one, but by the whole group. This safety net meant traders dared to send ships farther than ever before. Life insurance also found its beginnings here. Families of sailors or merchants often depended on risky voyages for their well-being. Amsterdam's insurers offered peace of mind, a contract that guaranteed payment to a family if tragedy struck. This innovation not only protected loved ones but encouraged more people to take part in trade, secure in the knowledge that their futures would not be left to chance or fate alone. But how did insurers decide what to charge? Here in Amsterdam, clever minds developed new ways to understand probability and risk. They began using ledgers and calculations, marking down the outcomes of hundreds of journeys. By studying the past, they found patterns and could set fair prices for each contract. This early use of statistics was a key step toward the science of modern finance, balancing honesty with opportunity. The tools of insurance contracts, risk sharing, and calculations did more than protect cargo. They fostered trust and cooperation among traders of all backgrounds. With everyone invested in a voyage's success, competing merchants became partners. This spirit of shared risk encouraged more daring ideas, supporting larger and longer ventures that would eventually knit together continents and create the blueprint for global trade. The transformation from facing danger alone to sharing it as a community was profound. No longer were merchants held hostage by fate. Insurance empowered them to invest, grow and innovate. Through written agreements and communal funds, even distant misfortunes were softened. Amsterdam became a beacon for new thinking, where the spread of risk led to the growth of possibilities and idea that would echo through centuries of commerce. In the story of finance, insurance stands as a quiet but essential innovation. It shifted the mindset from fear to hope, from isolation to collective strength. As we look back at Amsterdam's invention, we see more than paperwork. We see the seeds of modern security and ambition. Thanks to insurance, the merchants of the Dutch Golden Age were able to explore, build and dream further than ever before. Chapter 5. Credit and Trust. In the thriving world of 17th century Amsterdam, trust moved faster than any ship. Here, merchants sent fortunes across continents without ever shaking hands. At the heart of this trade web were tools like letters of credit and promissory notes, simple slips of paper that held immense power. But how did they work to keep commerce reliable and safe? Anchoring Amsterdam as the very centre of global exchange. Anchoring Amsterdam as the very centre of global exchange. To understand Amsterdam's greatness, we need to follow these invisible threads of trust. Traders used handwritten agreements promises to pay or deliver goods that travelled between cities along with spices, sugar and cloth. With these contracts, a merchant in distant Genoa or London could feel secure shipping cargo to someone in Amsterdam. It was a system of faith, reputation and carefully respected promises that turned paper into prosperity. Letters of credit became the lifeline of this bustling city. These were not coins in a purse, but guarantees from trusted bankers that a deal was safe. Instead of travelling with sacks of gold or silver, merchants showed these letters at each port, and the money would be honoured, no matter how far from home they journeyed. The Bank of Amsterdam recorded every transaction, making fraud almost impossible. This trusted paperwork built bridges across oceans. Promissory note simple, promises to pay a sum at a future date meant. Merchants could trade today and settle accounts months later. Dealers gained flexibility to respond to opportunity or risk without being weighed down by cash. The bank's precise records ensured payments were tracked, building a web of accountability that fueled economic growth. But reputation was just as important as paperwork. In Amsterdam's markets, a merchant's word and written guarantees were their greatest assets. Bad credit could ruin a business, while honest dealings opened doors to faraway markets. The city's vibrant culture of trust and transparency became its greatest currency, outlasting the value of coins or the weight of traded goods themselves. This network of trust did not stop at Amsterdam's borders. Soon, cities across Europe copied the careful record-keeping and trusted contracts that made Dutch trade resilient. Amsterdam's blend of documentation and personal integrity proved so reliable that countries far beyond the Republic began weaving these methods into their own dealings, making global commerce safer and smoother than ever before. These systems also encouraged new ideas. With confidence in letters of credit and promissory notes, entrepreneurs dared to try bolder ventures, launching global expeditions and investing in new industries. The Dutch model taught the world that well-recorded promises built on trust, not just gold, could unlock huge opportunities and connect economies in ways previously unimaginable. In time, Amsterdam's invisible threads of credit and trust became the very foundation of modern finance. Today, every international deal owes something to those handwritten contracts and the faith traders placed in one another. These Dutch innovations proved that trust, built on strong systems and careful recording, is the secret engine that keeps the world's commerce turning even centuries later. Chapter 6. Global Influence. Dutch ingenuity sailed farther than anyone could have imagined. From the bustling canals of Amsterdam, new ideas about money, risk and investment crossed borders and oceans. These concepts did not remain tied to the Netherlands alone. Their ripple effects were felt around the world. In this chapter, let us follow the journey of financial innovations as they travel from Europe to distant lands and new empires. Stock exchanges born in Amsterdam found new homes. In London, the energy of bustling markets began to echo the lively scenes of the Dutch trading halls. Paris soon followed, eager to adopt these clever financial mechanisms. City by city, the formula spread, allowing others to buy and sell shares, build companies, and dream even bigger. The marketplace of ideas was as lively as the marketplace for goods and coin. The idea of central banking, first realized in Amsterdam, inspired nations to create their own institutions. With these banks, business could flow more smoothly, and trust in the value of money grew stronger. Even countries that once saw themselves as rivals soon recognized the benefits of following the Dutch example. Their financial systems grew more stable, and trade flourished across borders once thought impossible to cross. Insurance, once a cautious whisper among Amsterdam's merchants, soon spoke loudly on foreign shores. London's underwriters learned from the Dutch, offering new ways for sailors and traders to protect themselves against risk. In this way, the idea of sharing uncertainty, of pooling danger, spread across continents. The sense of safety that it brought encouraged ever more daring ventures and voyages to distant lands. What began as local ingenuity in Amsterdam became a set of powerful tools for growing empires. These institutions enabled vast networks of trade, connecting Europe, Asia, and the Americas. All around the world, nations adopted and adapted Dutch ideas, tailoring them to their own needs and ambitions. The result was a web of financial systems that linked people, goods, and currencies in ways never seen before. As empires expanded, so did financial networks. Ships no longer sailed only for spices or gold. They carried contracts, insurance policies, and promissory notes. Banking and stock exchanges transformed how people thought about wealth and opportunity. The Dutch model showed that trust, credit, and clever systems could turn distant lands into trading partners. Through finance, the world became smaller and far more connected. Each new nation that embraced these Dutch inventions made its own improvements. In London, joint stock companies helped build a global empire. In Paris, creative thinkers expanded the tools of finance, shaping their markets in unique ways. Across the Atlantic, even young nations looked to the Dutch legacy as they built their first banks and exchanges, eager to join the growing international tapestry of trade and commerce. The story of Dutch financial innovation is not just about money or markets. It is about connections between people across great distances. The seeds planted in 17th century Amsterdam grew into vast forests of trade and finance, spreading shade and shelter to many. Today, those roots still hold firm beneath the world economy, reminding us how ideas born in one city can truly shape the globe. Chapter 7. A Lasting Legacy. Through the mists of history, the bold ideas of 17th century Amsterdam continue to shape our modern world. The systems invented there, banking, investing, insurance and credithaaf, become the backbone of global economies. In this final chapter, we unravel how what began in a small, windswept city endures at the heart of every financial transaction, echoing the optimistic vision of those early Dutch innovators. As we look back, it's clear that the Dutch spirit of experimentation set the stage for a more connected marketplace. Their creative solutions to the challenges of trade forged new paths for money to move safely, for businesses to grow, and for everyday people to participate in global commerce. Today's high-tech financial network traces its roots to their ingenious discoveries along Amsterdam's bustling canals. The principles of trust, transparency and risk sharing, crafted centuries ago, still underpin how banks operate, how investments soar or tumble, and how insurance protects families and fortunes. Without the early Dutch determination to find better ways of managing money, our economies would look very different. These innovations helped dissolve barriers, making prosperity possible far beyond their city. The Amsterdam Stock Exchange, humble in its beginnings, gave rise to the habit of investing in distant futures of pooling resources for enterprises that could reach across oceans. The birth of modern shares, bonds, and even central banking all trace back to experiments in that vibrant city. The resulting structures have outlasted empires, wars, and revolutions, holding firm through centuries of change. Every swipe of a card, every digital transfer, and every loan today echoes those innovations. Modern banking halls and stock exchanges owe their design and purpose to systems crafted in the golden light of old Amsterdam. When we marvel at the complexity of today's finance, we step into a legacy shaped by Dutch merchants who refused to accept the limits of their age. Insurance ads. A groundbreaking safeguard for daring merchants now forms the backbone of entire industries, offering security to millions. The concept of building trust through reliable credit, first fostered in 17th century Amsterdam, is key to the global web of lending that fuels opportunity. These tools for managing risk and encouraging growth have democratized prosperity, reaching more people than the Dutch founders ever dreamed. From the first notarized contract written with a quill to today's instantaneous global payments, the DNA of Dutch financial innovation persists. The optimism and courage to try something new, to create systems where none existed before, set a standard that continues to inspire economies worldwide. We owe much to those Amsterdam experiments, whose boldness still ripples across continents and generations. As we close this journey, remember how a single city's bold vision gave rise to a world-spanning system. Dutch finance remains a beacon of inventive thinking, a reminder that from small beginnings, the greatest transformations are possible. With each transaction, we carry forward the legacy of Amsterdam, where the foundation of modern finance was laid, shaping our world with every step into the future.